Today we're going to play a game called The Rose King, which is a two-player abstract strategy game where the two players are going to be taking on the roles of the House of Lancaster and the House of York during the Wars of the Roses in British history. The game's going to play out over a series of turns, with players playing cards, dictating their movement, and placing tokens on the field to form continuous majorities to score. Gameplay's really simple in The Rose King. You're going to use a series of cards to move this crown token around and place your tokens in your color on the board. Now, this is a board that's already been played on. It would be blank at the beginning of the game, and there's this spot at the center of the board where the crown token begins. But just to talk to you about movement, we'll set the crown token up here in this corner. When you look at these cards, they have a crown symbol at the top, and there's also a crown on the board. You always want to make sure that the crown on your card is in the same orientation, because if you're trying to play the cards the other way around, you might think that your sword is pointing off in the other direction when it's always played in the same orientation as the crown on the board. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to start with 5 cards, and that's your maximum during the game. On your turn, you can take one of 3 actions. You can either play one of these cards out of your hand, you can draw a new card to bring yourself up toward your total of 5, but you can never draw a 6th card, or you can play one of your cards with one of your 4 hero cards. We'll talk about that in a second. So if we're going to play this card, all of the cards in the game have a 1, 2, or a 3 in this crown symbol at the top of the card. That tells you how far you're going to move this crown token. And then they have a sword pointing in one direction, and that tells you which direction you're going to move the crown token. So if we played this 1, we'd move the crown token up 1 and to the left, and then place our token underneath it to mark that we now have control of this space. This card goes into the discard, and now you only have 4 cards. So on your next turn, you could either play one of these 4, or draw a new card to bring yourself up to 5. Let's say the other person has drawn a card, and on our next turn, we want to play this card, which is 1 and is going to take us back in the other direction. Our opponent has a token in their color in that spot, so we can't play this card by itself. We have to add one of our hero cards. Adding your hero card means that when you move this, you can move it onto your opponent's color and you'll flip it over to yours. So you only have 4 of these to use in the entire game, and you're going to need to use them strategically to flip your opponent's tokens to your color so that you can unite your groups. If you take the draw action, you're just going to draw 1 card off the top and place it with your other cards up to your maximum hand size of 5. And cards are always face up in the game. It's not hidden information, so everybody knows what the other player can do. If at any point in the game you are unable to take any of those 3 actions, so if you can't draw a card, you can't play one of your cards, and you can't play one of your cards with a hero card to take one of your opponent's tokens, you have to skip your turn. If neither player is able to take an action, the game's going to end. This is one of the 2 end conditions. So if nobody can go, the game ends. The other end condition is a little uncertain in the rules, and we're going to talk about this in our review section too. It says that when a player places the last token in their color on the board, the game ends. which you could interpret to mean that you're supposed to divide the tokens equally between the two players, but what we think it means is that it's just the last of the tokens is being placed on the board, and it's being placed in that player's color, because that's how you place tokens. So I think it's just an odd translation, but we could be wrong about that, and we're going to talk about it a little bit in the review section. At the end of the game, scoring happens, and you're going to add up the number of tokens that you have in continuous lines, which are only orthographic, not diagonal. So this would be one group, but this token is in a second group by itself, because it's not connected with a token like here or here to this bigger group. So you'll count up your lines of connected tokens on the board, and then you square the number of tokens that are connected in that way. So this group has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 12 times 12 would be 144 points for this big section. Over here, this token is 1 by itself, so 1 squared is just 1. So you definitely want to be building these big, long chains and connecting as many of your groups as possible. If you'd had the opportunity in this game, for example, to use one of your hero cards to flip this white token to red, all of a sudden you have this massive group that you've linked up, and you're going to score a ton of points for it. So you definitely want to be thinking about that while you're playing the game. Take your totals for each section, add them all together. Whoever has the most points is the winner. If your point totals end up being a tie, then the player who has the largest section of tokens that are all the same group is the winner. If that still leaves you with a tie, because both players have equally sized large groups, then you're going to go with the player who has the most rose tokens on the board in their color. And if that's still a tie, you get to play the Rose King again.
No, it doesn't say that in the rules.
It doesn't say that in the rules, but that's what you get to do. I'm going to go just one down. Just one down. Just stay in the middle here. Go 3 back the other way. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna draw. Not sure if I had any of those options. All the ones, apparently. I'll try one more time. Okay. Well, come one up this way. Knocked all my tokens over. The game has to stop again.
Did not see that coming.
I'll draw. Again. My hero cards.
Just take this guy.
It's your only option.
Shuffle those cards up so you can take something.
Yeah. Since that's my only option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true.
Regardless of whatever you draw, like I'm
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah,
that.
that's the only thing that you can do, really. None of your other options were very good. So I will have drawn this one, and then it's me.
Yeah, would you like to go over 2? To give you points.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think I'm going to draw again. Draw again. Hero card.
You have to draw.
Yeah, I do. Crap. That was almost the end of the game if I'd had one more card.
Mm-hmm. So if I draw a card, then the game ends, right? Because you won't be able to play any of your cards.
No, I can play this
Oh,
one.
yeah. Okay. Well,
I don't want to play that one,
Yeah.
but I could be forced to play that one.
Yeah, well, let's not worry about that. I'll play my last one.
Okay, that's what I thought you were going to do.
Yeah.
I was trying really hard to not let that happen.
Oh.
And I have to. I can't draw, so okay. I think this is the one that is the least bad.
Okay.
None of those are really good plays. And I'm going to play my last one.
Or you can draw a card.
That's true. I'll draw. So I picked up 2 cards. I apologize. I didn't even see what it was. I just saw that I picked up 2 cards, so... Let's see. That does not give me better options.
Hoyo!
Yep.
Okay. There you go. What are you gonna do?
I guess I'm going to play this. Go to there.
Okay.
Man, terrible. Yeah, better to draw. Wow, miserable. Yeah, I knew that's what you were going to do. That's the only thing I can do. Sorry, I thought I had done that. I'm too frustrated about how terrible every option I have in front of me is.
Yeah. Well, you've got options. Like drawing a card.
Yeah, like all I can do is draw a card or take one piece that's not useful to me at all.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's better, right? Okay. I'm really excited to not have to play this anymore.
Well, I assume you're going to draw a card. You have to draw a card.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can do. Good news is I'm probably going to draw a card that I can't play.
Probably. Odds are good.
Yep, that's a card that's not possible for me to... Oh, no, it is possible for me to play. Oh, no, it is impossible for me to play. Okay, good.
Well, we'll see. Let's see what I can do here. See if I can help you out.
If you draw a card, the game ends.
Yep. I'm going to play 2 over.
Thanks.
Get those points.
I play 1 back and get those points.
Two down. Get those points.
Now I can't play.
I can draw a card.
Okay, I'm back on track for not being able to play cards. Yeah, that's the only card I'm allowed to play. I guess that's not true. I can play that one too.
You can play a majority of your cards.
No, I can't.
That one too.
I can play that one. I guess that's true.
That's
yeah,
a majority of
okay.
your cards.
There are 3 cards I can play. You are correct. I guess I'll do that. That's the least offensive to me.
One point.
Okay.
Logging it down.
I'm glad you did that. I guess I'll go down 1 and also lock down 1 big point. I have to draw.
Gotta draw.
I guess I'll play that.
Gotta draw.
So I'll play that.
Alright, well, everything just completely collapsed there at the end. You just were able to play things while I was not.
Yep.
Go up 3.
I thought you were going to draw again.
I thought so too. I saw I can get
Another
all
point.
the big points there. Wow, that's annoying. Alright. Good times.
Yeah. Welcome to my world.
Well, I mean, your world is your...
I mean, yeah, but Like, just having no options. You know? Just like, okay, I can either do this or this, and neither of those things is good. Did you just draw?
No.
Oh, sorry. I was like, why did you draw? Good job.
It was all worth it for that one play.
Yeah, I know.
I think we're probably
Almost. I mean,
two
one,
down.
two,
It's
three.
a 2 down.
Yeah, two down is the only thing that can get played.
Yeah. 2 up. It's close. 3 down.
Now we gotta shuffle.
Gotta shuffle and see if we get the 2 down.
All right.
And even then, like, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah,
it.
that's the last card that can get played, so just shuffle, 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 and then either
someone randomly gets a point or doesn't.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, the game ends.
Okay. Every region is squared, so start with yours first, and I'll like throw numbers at you, and you just need to like add those numbers up. So like, you want to write them down?
Sure. I will just write some numbers down.
Okay. So let's see. You've got it's down here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. So that's going to be 64.
Okay. How about giving me a writing utensil?
How about you not complain about everything?
Like,
figure it out.
I just like a writing utensil that functions.
All right.
64.
4.
4.
1.
Woo!
1.
Woo!
And then this one is 10, so that's going to be 100. So that's your score, is add those up.
Okay.
Mine's going to be 1. 1. 1.
Woo!
1.
Whoa.
1.
Whoa. 4 ones?
64. 16. 4. 1. 4. There's no chance.
Just tight.
No chance
Tight
at
game.
all with your 100 points thing that just happened in that cascade turn.
170 for Roberto.
Just garbage.
Let's see. 68, 72.
To double check your math over there.
88. 93. It's pretty good. Here you go. You can double check that math.
Yeah.
Since I am garbage at math.
Well, yours was at least real easy to add up.
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
It's good.
Good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
170 to 98.
93.
Right? 93.
Thanks, though. Appreciate it.
Plus 5 for effort.
The Rose King
Half. Wait, let's start that over. Hold on. Okay.
What were you going to say?
Doesn't matter. Let's go.
Boop! The Rose King! It's an epic tale of the Wars of the Roses.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
The battles between the House of Lancaster and the House of York. Did you feel like Richard III while you were playing this game?
I don't... He was pretty miserable, right?
He was pretty miserable.
Yeah, well...
At the end of the game, did you feel like offering your entire kingdom if someone would give you a horse so you could get the hell out?
Yes, that's how I was... So... like, this... Okay, I think we should look at this game contextually.
Sure.
This game
from,
came out
like,
in the
98?
in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 98.
It is designed by Dirk Henn, who did Alhambra.
Mm-hmm.
And Timbuktu, but I think that's less of a
less of a draw.
yeah. I think Alhambra is one of the great board games. I think that it still holds up very well for its age, and Rose King. Okay, so this game...
That said it all.
Yeah. So this game, again, came out in the 90s and was never brought over to the US.
Yeah.
It's one of those German games that just stayed in Germany. Until just now they finally brought it over 18 years later because people finally... The demand finally hit the peak point where people were ready for it, or maybe there's a surge of popularity in War of the Roses. I don't know, but
sure, with like the Tudors being on TV,
like 5 years
like
ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah. So
man, if you hadn't said anything,
we could have thought they made this video 5 years ago.
Yeah, we could have sold that.
So I don't know why this got reprinted now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a popular, like, in terms of rank, it's ranked pretty high. At least in Germany, I think it's sold like over 100,000 copies. I remember reading somewhere, so it's
reasonably popular.
Yeah, and if I'm going to put this in the context of the Cosmos 2-player games, I'm going to say it's one of the better ones out there.
That's true.
I think Lost Cities is the best. And
then it's a lot of downhill from there.
Then it's a lot of downhill from there.
Yeah.
So, as a 2-player strategic game, I think this is pretty decent. That being said, I don't really want to play it much.
Ever again?
Well, no, I would play it again.
No.
I'm not in the same position as you. Do you want to take over now and start talking about things that you...
I just think it's miserable. I mean, you've got these cards that dictate your movements, but you can't move onto your own pieces, and you can only move onto your opponent's pieces 4 times. So, like in the gameplay footage that you just watched, you saw that, the last 10 minutes of the game were mostly us looking at each other and going, I'm not going to be able to play any of these cards. Okay, I have to draw. Oh, I can play that card. Okay. How much longer is this going to take before the game ends, before we run into the wall of not being able to draw a card that we can play? I think that's miserable in any game when you're just sitting there waiting for the game to end for random chance to say, okay, that was your only move that you were able to take,
Now, I think if we were to wind back the gameplay footage and watch it, I think there was a moment where I could have ended the game earlier.
Yeah, and you might have won.
I might have, but instead you could call that push your luck, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was like, well, I mean, I can play this, so I guess I'll play this and see what happens.
Yeah.
And as a result, soon after, you had a cascade of like 4 cards you played in a row all touching each other while I could just do nothing but draw cards, leading to a disparity of 100 points in our score.
Yeah.
I think the game is accessible enough and simple enough and fast enough that I'm not too offended by it. If it were to... Maybe that's because neither of us really took it seriously. If you were to sit there and be like, okay, I really want to do well at this and calculate all the possible moves and everything and make this game take
2 hours
or something, there's not enough game here for that.
Yeah.
Based on my bias towards abstract strategy games, I think this is okay. And if I were stuck in a room with one person and this was the only 2-player option, I would play it and not be like, all right, well, we're playing Rose King, I guess. I probably, the next time I played it, I would probably just pick random cards, just put them on the table and see what happens, but, I don't think it's... I guess what bothers me more than anything is, the theme that doesn't matter at all. Like, I'm not sure why it's that. And I understand it is an abstract strategy game and it shouldn't matter, but like it's got nice box art and like it kind of sells you on the idea of being an interesting theme, but it's not. There's nothing there. It's very abstract.
Just move 1, 2, or 3 in this compass direction, put down a token in your color.
So I don't.
Yeah.
That annoys me more than the game itself.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we've talked in videos before about how neither of us really like abstract strategy games that much. If they're going to work, that we both kind of feel like, they need to have the right amount of randomness and also the right amount of you can make actual decisions about what you're doing rather than, my biggest problem with this where it's just a lot of you having 0 options, especially in the late game. And depending on what happens in the early game, like, it's really easy for you to look down at your cards and say, oh, well, I can't play 4 of these 5 cards. Just because of the way, unless I want to use one of my hero cards, and you don't want to use those too soon. Mm-hmm. And, that just makes it really painful to me to play, because I don't feel like I ever get to make choices that matter. You can look at the map and say, okay, I need to get a token into this one square so that I can link up my forces and build a big box, You can spend the rest of the game trying to get to that one square and not be able to do it. And, that just kills me. Like, I don't want to play a game where it is that hard for me to put pieces where I want them to be.
I guess other things to talk about. The big complaint people have is that this new English edition has cardboard components instead of they used to be like wooden.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Do you have any feelings about that?
I mean, wooden tokens are really nice. The cardboard tokens bring the price down a ton. They aren't bad. Like, they're nice, thick cardboard tokens. I don't really like mini cards in games.
I was going to ask how you felt about the card stock itself.
I think the card stock
feels thin,
a little thin, yeah.
And it looks like it's chipping already after like a couple plays.
Yeah. It's a little thin. I kind of wish that they were normal size cards instead of the mini cards, but that's another cost saving thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the idea is like there's not enough game here to justify.
Yeah.
Like if it were on big tarot cards and
with fancy art,
fancy wooden blocks you're putting on things, and the game suddenly costs $50, and it's not a $50 game.
Yeah, for sure.
I paid like $12 for this, and I don't feel like too terribly ripped off about it. Like, someone will want it, and it'll get traded. So, there's also a kind of confusing thing in the rulebook about how the game ends.
Yeah.
And it says something about the game can end when either
nobody can play a card. Or take an action, rather, because you could draw a card.
Yeah, or if a player places the last stone of his color on the board. Mm-hmm. And I looked at that and went, does that mean we're supposed to split them in half at the start of the game, and you have 26 and I have 26, and that's what you get over the course of the game, and if you put all of yours down for the other person, then congrats, you win? Or the game just ends,
Or if you're supposed to have a common pool of the 52.
Yeah. And it's saying, like, as soon as someone puts down the last of them, then...
Which will be in their color, because they're placing it.
Yeah.
Which we think is probably the interpretation that's supposed to happen, because the rules never talk about splitting up the tokens.
Yeah. I couldn't find, like, a translation of the old German edition to, like, compare it to. It didn't matter in our gameplay because we both had 4 or 5 tokens remaining.
Yeah, we both had 4, so it was evenly split.
So maybe it wouldn't be a thing that would even come up really that often. Mm-hmm. But it's a thing that I certainly don't have an answer for, and...
Yeah. So our best guess is you're just supposed to have a common pool.
Yeah.
But if you disagree, if you have the original German rules and you know what they say, then I guess you can tell us what that really says.
And we'll just, amend it as necessary.
Yeah. So, what would you rate the Rose King?
Like a 5, maybe 5.25.
Okay.
I think it's just kind of average, and I don't know that it's aged very well. I would play it, but I don't really want to. And I'd probably suggest other things first. And I certainly wouldn't tell people to go out and get it unless they've played it and thought it was something they needed to have.
Yeah. When we rated this on Board Game Geek, we collectively gave it a 4.5. So I don't know if your rating has come up.
I mean, if I gave it a 5 and you gave it a 4...
And I gave it a 4, but I don't feel like I gave it a 4. I feel like I gave it about a 4.5. So maybe both of our ratings came up slightly, and that's what happened. So yeah, I think I'd be pretty close to what our rating on BGG is, the 4.5.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
Hath not thy rose a thorn?
I don't see any thorns on these roses.
That's the question the game poses.
Is it?
Yeah. So, in playing it, you proved that you're the thorniest.
Of the roses?
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, House of Lancaster's supposed to win. Henry Tudor.
Nobody cares.